The Maid and the Dreamer, the love story that changed literature. She was a hotel maid. He was a broke young man with impossible dreams. They eloped after just 4 months. And their love became the most famous day in all of literature. June 10, 1904, Dublin, Ireland. James Joyce, 22 years old, was walking down Nassau Street when he saw her. A young woman, alone, moving with quiet confidence. He knew nothing about her. But something made him stop, turn, and speak. Her name was Nora Barnacle. She was 20. A chambermaid at Finn's Hotel. Newly arrived from Galway with no money, no family, and no connections. Just surviving. James was the opposite. A struggling writer, brilliant but arrogant, full of dreams bigger than his bank account. He had ambition, but not a penny. They talked. She agreed to see him again. 6 days later, June 16, 1904, they went on their first real date. They walked across Dublin for hours, laughing, talking, and discovering each other. And according to Joyce's later writings, Nora made the first move that day. A moment that would echo across literature forever. Because that date, June 16, 1904, became the day Joyce set his masterpiece Ulysses. A day now celebrated around the world as Bloomsday. But back then, it wasn't history. It wasn't literature. It was just a maid and a dreamer falling impossibly in love. 4 months later, they made a decision that shocked everyone in their lives. They would leave Ireland. Together. Unmarried. No wedding. No approval. No safety. Just 2 young people betting everything on each other. October 8, 1904. They boarded a boat and left Ireland behind. They wouldn't return together for the next 37 years. Life in exile was brutal. They bounced between Trieste, Rome, Zurich, and Paris. Running from unpaid rent, scraping by, always close to collapse. James couldn't find steady work. Publishers rejected everything he wrote. By the time they had 2 children, Giorgio and Lucia, Joyce was still unknown. And through it all, Nora held everything together. She budgeted pennies. She raised the children. She dealt with Joyce's drinking, his mood swings, his insecurity, his obsession with writing. Nora didn't pretend to understand his books. She actually never finished Ulysses. Her famous line was, "Why don't you write sensible books that people can understand?" But she didn't need to understand the books. She understood James. Joyce was not easy to love, jealous, demanding, lost in his work. But Nora saw through everything. His genius, his fear, and the lonely boy he once was. And he loved her with a kind of intensity the world never saw. His letters to her were raw, passionate, vulnerable, sometimes shockingly explicit. He wrote that he had given himself utterly to the memory of her. To scholars, those letters are priceless. To Nora, they were just letters from James. Her influence was everywhere. Molly Bloom, one of literature's most iconic characters, was inspired by her. Her honesty, her sensuality, her naturalness. Joyce said Nora had a complete naturalness that he spent his life trying to capture. They finally married in 1931, after 27 years together. Not for romance, but to protect their children legally. The real marriage had happened in 1904, on that Dublin walk. James Joyce died in 1941, at 58 years old. Nora was shattered. She spent the next decade visiting his grave, telling their story to anyone who asked. She died in 1951. Today, they lie together in Flanton Cemetery, Zurich. The stone is simple. James Joyce, 1882–1941. Nora Barnacle Joyce, 1884–1951. But the real monument is Ulysses. The novel set entirely on the day they first loved each other. Every year, on June 16th, millions celebrate Bloomsday. They dress in period clothing. Walk Dublin's streets. Read from Joyce's works. They are celebrating him. But whether they know it or not, they are also celebrating her. The chambermaid who believed in a broke dreamer before the world saw his genius. The woman who held his life together long enough for him to change literature. The muse who wasn't a muse. She was his anchor. Without Nora Barnacle, there would be no Ulysses, no Bloomsday, no James Joyce as we know him. Two young people. 4 months of knowing each other. A leap into the unknown. And they ended up changing the world.